agent guard and draft the rest. I'm not about getting a free agent guard. And the reason why I'm not about doing that means you would be letting Big V go to turn around and pay for a guard that would be cost as much as Big V. It just kind of seems, it seems kind of too much. Personally, if you're going to get a new guard, I'd just do it in the draft. I would rather keep Big V than get a guard in free agency. I'd rather do that. It's the devil you know than the devil you don't. Personally, that's the route I'm going to go. Let's see. Do you think the Lions should draft Devon Witherspoon or trade up for Jalen Carter? I'm 50-50 on the trade up. It really depends what it would be the Arizona Cardinals would want in a trade. I'm not wanting to give up pick 18. I really don't. I want to keep that selection. I think that's really important for Detroit to really build this team. I think there's approximately 15 first-round talents, in all honesty, and a ton of second-round. So if you have that ability, a player who is a first-round talent falls to 18, you can draft him for sure, and then you still got some options later in the draft, which I'm not worried that Brad Holmes can't get. But I just don't want to lose that. But Jalen Carter is an absolute stud. Okay, so if they were to trade up, you're not going to see me pissed off because I do think he's a game changer. And you want to get game changer. He's out of the three blue chippers, he's one of the three. I mean, there's not that many blue chip talents in this draft. There's just not. And he's one of those guys. So I have no problem doing that. Wouldn't it be awesome if we got both Jack Campbell and Drew Sanders we could set for the next 5 to 8 years at linebacker? Mr. Detroit City, I wouldn't mind that, but I just don't believe they would go two linebackers back-to-back because they're both second-round talent. Drew Sanders could possibly still be in the first round, right in the first round. I think he's an early second-round talent. But, yeah, you would be good to go. But, again, I think they'll get one of those guys, and I really think Jack Campbell's the target. I watch for who the Lions bring in for their 50 visits. Now, the past 2 years, Brad Holmes has selected half their draft picks have been players they have visited. So he's not trying to hide it, really, and I expect Jack Campbell and probably Drew Sanders both to take a visit there. But, yeah, it'd be outstanding, man. I mean, we got the problem at the linebacker position a big way. We only got 2 players right now currently signed. But I suspect the Lions will probably sign a starter in free agency. It would be Alex Anzalone, or maybe they do go out and get a Levante David, which I personally like. He's just a little bit older. I don't know if that's the route they're going to go. But I do think they'll sign a veteran, and they're going to draft one significantly high in the first 3 rounds. I'm hoping in the second round. That's where I'd like to get one. Devin Davis, hashtag smash the hole. Do we puck up Okudah's 5th-year option? I don't believe we're picking up 5th-year option for Jeff Okudah. I give it a 25% chance. I don't think they're picking it up. Make him earn his contract. To me, he's not earned it right now to make that $11.2 million. To pick it up, he's not worth that right now, in all honesty. I would like him to earn it. Now, if he comes out here and balls, hey, you can re-sign him. Just because you don't pick a 5th-year option up doesn't mean he's not going to be a Detroit Lion. That's not the case. Josh Jacobs, his 5th-year option wasn't picked up, and all signs point to him being back to the Raiders. It's just one of those things where earn it, Okudah. It is time for you to earn it. That's the way I go there. And I want him to earn it. I want him to succeed. I want him to do good. I'm rooting him more than anybody because if he can succeed, that's really good for the Lions defense because we need help at the corner position, and we need him to be that number 1 guy. But make him earn it. I'm not going to just give it to him. I think I would be disappointed if we don't draft a running back early. What do you think? I wouldn't be disappointed because you can find really good running back talent in the draft. You can find it all over the place. We do need help on defense in a big way, so it just depends who they would take over. Like, say, if you're a Bijan Robinson fan, I get it. He's the best running back. He is Saquon Barkley 2.0. 100% get it. But remember, you could still find good running backs in all the rounds. In every single round, you can find stud running backs. That's just how the running back position goes. So it just really depends who's there, who falls. Maybe Jahmyr Gibbs falls the 3rd round. If that happens, hey, I mean, that's pretty damn good. So don't be too upset at that. And look, I think they do draft one probably in the first 2 rounds. But if they don't, I'm not going to be upset about it. I'm not. I think it's a need. I do think it's a need, but I don't think it's like the number one pressing need. I really do believe that linebacker, cornerback, interior defensive line, and guard is more of a need. Like, those are needs that they must address. If they let Big V go, you got to take a guard early. In the probably the first 3 rounds, you got to take a guard. I'm not going to get a starting guard in the 5th round. I personally like to get one early, and we got to get an interior defensive line. We do. We've seen the lack of pressure that was occurring on the interior, and we need it. And obviously, it's no doubt we need linebacker and cornerback. Those are massive needs. So I wouldn't be mad, but if they get one early, I'm not going to be mad either. And I would ask that everybody not get mad at Brad Holmes if they took a Bijan Robinson or 18, or if they took a running back in round 2. Don't be upset about it. They've done a phenomenal job in the draft. I think it's trust Brad Holmes, and Brad Holmes I trust. Hell, if they go the complete different route that I would want, I'm fine with it. Except for if they took a tight end early. That's the only thing that would piss me off. But other than that, man, I trust Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell. They have shown a hell of a good track record in the draft. I can't argue with what they've done. James Houston, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, they find talent. Lee McNeil, they just find talent. So I'm cool with them. If they don't get a guy who I want early, significantly earlier a position, I'm pretty confident 5th and 6th rounds that they're going to find someone that can contribute. I do. After what James Houston did this year, I'm 100% confident in Brad Holmes. I mean, that was absolutely ridiculous how they're finding major starters in the mid to late rounds. So I'm 100% belief that if they go get somebody, they're going to do a phenomenal job. Who is a good nose tackle you can get in the middle rounds? Ooh, there's some good players you can get in the mid to late rounds. Gervon Dexter, defensive tackle there from Florida. He's somebody you could get probably in the 2nd round. I think Mozzie Smith, obviously your Michigan fans out there, he's more of a 3rd round prospect. He could be someone. Jacqueline Roy from LSU, he could be a guy that you could get for sure. And then, obviously, you already know the Brian Brzee and Jalen Carter. Hell, even Seiki Eka. You want a guy who stopped the run. He's 350 pounds. 350 pounds. That guy is the stop the run, big body. A haloti nata with an extra pizza in the gut. So those you can find some good guys that can help out the interior defensive line there. Hashtag FGB, $5 super for my guy Paul Ginder. It says, do you think they do with Amani Oruwariye? Keep it. I think he's not going to be a Detroit Lion next year. I'm confident that they're not going to bring Amani Oruwariye back. He ranked 120 out of 120 cornerbacks. That's not getting the job done. And the only time you heard Amani is when he made fouls. So I don't think he's coming back. I think you're going to see a little bit of turn on that cornerback position. I think you're probably going to pick one up in free agency, a starter, and you're probably going to draft one significantly high in the draft. So you're going to see a nice little turnover here. I think Amani is not going to be a Detroit Lion next year. For sure, I just don't believe he is. Hashtag Lions, how many touchdowns and yards for J-Mo next year? I'll go 7 touchdowns and 750 yards. 7 touchdowns, 750 yards. The reason I want to go more is there is a lot of playmakers on this offense. Amon-Ra St. Brown, you've seen what all our tight ends can do getting the touchdowns. And, of course, Jamaal Williams, the goal line king. So I think that would be a nice turnaround for him. I think he'll start off hot, but the reason I don't go more touchdowns is because there is so many other players that get the football. It just is. Mike, you are becoming a legend in Michigan. Well, thank you so much, Philip C. Hey, it's good to be a legend than it is good to be a chump. And I would like to be a legend. And, again, I'll be at training camp this year. It will be me there again, and I'm sure that we'll have Dose of Dion there. Everything King there. Speak Easy will be there. We'll all be hanging out again. So if you want to be at training camp, come on down. I'll be there all week for sure. It's easy to spot me. I generally got a name. on my back that says my name. So if you want to meet up, maybe we get a couple drinks. Maybe we can do, because I went with Detroit Lions podcast with Chris and Riz. They had a get-together. It was really cool, so I went there with them, myself, and Adam Baydoun. And we had, it was a fun time, and we were just talking to Lions fans. So maybe we'll do something like that. Maybe I'll get with some of these guys, and we can get like a area at a bar and just eat some pizza and talk some football for a couple hours. I think that would be fun. Let's see here. Would you sign the former Titans Taylor Lewan and Zach Cunningham? I'm not thinking we should get Taylor Lewan. I don't think we really need. I would like to get a, if they're going to go guard, even though he's more of a tackle, we're good at the tackle position. Backup you can get again in the draft later. I'm not worried about the backup position there. But if you're wanting to get a different guard, I think, even though he could, I don't know if he could actually play guard, but well, I would rather just do it in the draft. I'm not all about just going into free agency, honestly, for the offensive line. You're just talking about a backup. I'm perfectly fine with depth pieces, but if you're wanting to get a starter, I think the draft is the best way to go for the offensive line. I truly, truly do. How many yards and touchdowns for Jamaal next year? Well, if he's here next year, I'll go 13, even though he got 17 this year. If he comes back, I say 13. What he did there with 17 touchdowns, it seems very difficult to repeat. I go 13 touchdowns, though, because they do give this guy the football quite a bit. We got another super chat by my guy, Devon Davis. Thank you so much. This hashtag FGB. What role do you think Megatron will have with the Lions coaching, like a Barry type role? Yeah, I think that's what it'll probably be. I got an idea. How about we just ask him? We'll get Calvin Johnson on LNU, and I'm going to ask him about that for sure. You know, what role he's going to play, how's his body feeling. So we'll just straight up ask him. I think that's the best thing to do, but I do think he'd be like a Barry role where he's more of a mentor to these young guys. You know, for someone like him, he was very well with his money. He wasn't a diva, and maybe he can talk to some of these guys like a Jameson Williams, take him under his wing and be like, look, you don't have to be doing this, you don't have to be doing that. You know, you can just keep your mouth right and be good to go. I mean, that's the best way to go here. Mike G in the building. Man, what's up, Mike G? Got to get back in World War Sports with those guys and talk to those guys. It's been a minute. I've been so busy, and then I had COVID, and that kind of knocked me off my rocker there a little bit. Mr. Detroit City says, Mike, what are your thoughts on free agent Patrick Peterson? Would you bring him alongside a top rookie like Joey Porter Jr.? I feel like I have a lot of friends that are Vikings fans, and they were not happy with Patrick Peterson. They wanted him off his team. Yeah, he's got a good name. Maybe he's over. I think he's over. I think he's too long in the tooth. I think we can do better, in all honesty. So I wouldn't probably bring him in unless like it's a last resort where we miss out on everybody. I could see like a last resort there, but yeah, I'm not wanting to really bring him in.